QRMBT Office 5522, Saquarema City, National State, Brazil. I wasn't in the mood to have this conversation because I have no communication. I'm doing kind of a miracle to have this conversation. We will check at the very first moment that we have a new IFA. It's named the Risk Report 2022 tracefebruary.blogspot.com. If you check there, you will observe that indeed we are talking about the same thing we had been talking since 2018 at least: risk and the systematical behavior of this risk, segmented by geopolitical levels and sites, public and corporate, with failures from the top, integrated as failure is a structural failure in two segments, public and corporate. It's a conjunctural fail. Indeed, is a system of fail or systemic crime. Was researched and it's available, published in an institution on Rio de Janeiro. You will check that the first thing maybe that we must have is when you do the misusage of your institutional prerogatives and then you claim solutions by things that you are committing and supporting, especially as violation of the law, I think that you have no legitimacy to do this. If you keep your mouth shut about violation, abuses, and the not accomplishment observed and proven as your institution, which imply your chair. For instance, if you are a minister of Supreme Court that must keep and protect your constitution, and you do everything against, especially by money or privilege, and keep your mouth shut about this, and in some way you support the transference of public budget for criminal groups or criminal purpose, which can go inside a global event as FIFA World Cup or Olympics, inside a local event with a global attraction like the Carnival, or as a pandemic event. Indeed, you can claim a solution or a security plan or impose something by law, considering that you do not respect the law because you are outlaw. And if you are a member or a chair as a council, you are all equals. You have no legitimacy to act. This is the first thing that you must have on your mind. The second thing, maybe, is that when you do the misusage of your institutional prerogatives and a lot of abuse, sometimes you can impact other areas. If you violate my privacy, since the very first moment you was advised that maybe you will commit industrial crime, you didn't consider this and trust yourself so much at your corruption scam that you put yourself in the way you are, desperate, violating my basic rights and guarantees even in a diffuse area. And when things got highlighted and exposed by everything you did, and maybe you are under international investigation because you are affecting other areas by your wrongdoings, violating others' constitution and premise of state, society, and sometimes national defense. When you do, for instance, the cloned use of a mobile, and which can be a machine, and this is accused by the Windows 10, and we have two lines as connection to the internet based into a single provider. And one is your DNS with IPv4 and the other your DNS with IPv6. The IPv6 allowed you to have the tunnel, the VPN and others. And then you will check that the Windows accused a multiplicity of this DNS IPv6. You can corrupt a family member, everybody inside this family, putting associated with criminal scams, and by obvious will be against my anti-crime research, for instance. And after do this, you will consider yourself brilliant in the way you consider since at least 1988. But no one respects you by what you are. And you cloned these by a different color, as you can observe. This cloned instrument based on the multiplicity of signal, which is perhaps a fail at the provider, and the expertise is something that only goes inside, only can got ripped from inside. It's an internal failure evidence that can be easily proven. You will observe that now you can replace, the signal here, which is the cloned machine. You can use each one of them, and I will put as a name A, B, and C, to replace this connection here, which is my authentic connection. But for instance, when I have my DNS as IPv6 and 4, not by the provider, because I do not consider reliable or secure to use, and I put the Google as public DNS, and you did this, you violated the industrial asset of Google. When you cloned my machine to do this, you violated the industrial asset of Microsoft as Windows and all softwares on it, considering the Norton, which points to multiplicity of signatures using my account, my name, my signs. And in the same way, when you do this with a mobile, you violated the Google industrial asset as system Android. You have no escape. You are unable to accept that you will be sent to jail, and it doesn't matter if you are a minister of Supreme Court or a president. Combined in an integrated failure as observed in Brazil, you are under international trial and jurisdiction and investigation and prosecution. You can suffer a death penalty. This is your reality, all of you. And you are clustered from public departments by frequency in Brazil, which had been an occurrence since at least 2012, by international events at this geopolitical and segmented space. You was advised that you have international law enforcement with skill, trained, and an encouragement that they need to hit you, and they are doing this. It was prepared and made by me, and you was advised this, that I was leading a security plan, and we offered this to the NATO 2 weeks ago, and you insisted in what you're doing, and now you have the causal relation from this aggression, which was transferred to a financial paper, and it's estimated on 33 trillion to research, and you will pay, and including the condition of flow and all things, to cluster a group of offenders by misusage of institution and institutional empowerment and privilege, by corruption and nepotism on East and West, to both combined going from public area Brazil, and it's traced by budget equally. This is your situation on present time. You are accused by industrial crime, and you are maybe under a charging on USA. You are accused by crimes against mankind, warfare, and the use of hidden and scattered elements as weapons of mass destruction. Biohazard. The utilitarian use of failure setting deeper levels at the communication and supply chain. You can, for instance, have the misperception imposed at a defensive system, for instance on Iran, and this defensive system will be responsive against a commercial flight with civilians from Canada, or going from Iran to Canada, or have the arrival at the Iran with departure on Canada. This kind of thing go by paramilitary groups with misusage of communication services sectors and supply chain, or any kind of structure that interconnect fields and geopolitical areas in global scale, but with failure at geopolitical areas integrated in global scale. Indeed, we are having this situation here. This is the fractal behavior and organization presented as Fibonacci risk, and by this we are claiming the conviction of our top chairs authorities from Brazil with other areas combined and associated with, since didn't have the speak and the words until this time. And we advised you in the same way that if the database Sigma for approach and this entire research expose and unveil your scam, you do not deserve the benefit and the privilege as a plea bargain. In my opinion, you are all convicted by misusage of regular areas, based on corruption with criminal intent and associated with criminal result and criminal gain, value qualified as a crime. Equally, the use of regular area by corruption is always a crime, and if go as public corruption is a major crime. And if you are a criminal with criminal intent, you are a criminal and you must be equally guilty. The only two values with possibility to do not get convicted are the authentic, real thing as myself, or the informers inside the criminal and international scam going by local failures integrated as you could prove here one more time. You have no escape, and indeed you never had, because you got chased, and maybe some of your peers considered the advice for real, and they had the proper and the action straight. Now you, for sure, got down. It's so sad, but we will claim one more time to have letters sent to the embassies in Brazil, have the invitation to the flight that will be maybe presenting reasons that person on America or in areas doing this kind of thing, and during the flight we will have the review by face to face with criminals that got exposed and complained by OECD, the IMF, and others, at least since 2012, from Public Budget Brazil. And after this, we will have 3 boats as a sequence: 2022, another one until 2024, and another one before 2028. And I hope that things gone always and strictly legal, because the capacity to do things by law is threatened when the interest beyond the law claims the solution at local space and puts this scam even more exposed by structures with failure. And consequence of your fails is the type of human resource that you put inside your organization. As a failure organization, of course, that in a situation so competitive as the capitalism, you must be, eaten, digested, and cheated. Have a nice night.